If you show a little patience, the Giants may reward you. That's next on Curveballs and Changeups, a baseball podcast straight out of Sacramento. I'm Steve Harmon, and this is a podcast for Giants fans and baseball fans in general. I played the game, once hit a grand slam home run in an over 30 baseball league, and I covered the Hum Baby Giants as a sports writer in the 1980s and early 90s. I've been a baseball fan since 1967 when the kid down the block introduced me and my brothers to the Giants. A note, I'm hosting separate episodes now on the Giants and A's. You can find both of them on all the platforms that host podcasts. Before I get into my take on the Giants, I have a trivia question for you. I'll give you the answer in the end. Who was the relief pitcher who told his pitching coach, quote, "Well, I got my man," when he was being taken out after the only hitter he faced was Vic Wertz, who hit that mammoth blast to center field that Willie Mays made his famous catch on in the 1954 World Series? Okay, I think we can say as we end the month of April, we have something special going on in San Francisco. But we can always say, or do we? It's so early, we are just about to leave the month of April, which will have been long forgotten by the time we really know who this team is. But the Giants are showing a little magic so far. They've got 5 walk-off wins now. They finished their 7-game homestand with 2 straight walk-off wins, both on 3-2 scores against the Texas Rangers, in games the Giants looked dead early, or at least snake-bitten with so many unlucky breaks. The Giants hitters hitting rockets that found only leather, the Rangers with broken bat base hits. They finished that brutal stretch of 17 games without a day off, winning 10 of them. They finished the homestand with 5 wins in 7 games, and now they head to San Diego for a pair of games in first place in the National League West with a 19-10 record. And that's for a team that really hasn't hit its stride yet, I don't think. They're hitting .229 as a team, which is 22nd in the major leagues and 13th of 15 teams in the National League. Now, about that flair for the dramatic Sunday, they won, as you all know, on a Little League home run. Elliot Ramos hits a little dribbler in front of the mound. Ex-Giants reliever Luke Jackson, who is star-crossed in San Francisco. He might well not even make the next trip whenever the Rangers go there to San Francisco. He throws wildly up the right field line. Elliott goes into second, content there until he sees Matt Williams, the third base coach, frantically waving him to third. And then he races around third on a wild throw and belly flops at home for the winning run. That's called a run thrown in, RTI. Saturday, they won 3-2 when Patrick Bailey, he of the terrible slump, is pinch hitting, and he hits a soft liner for a base hit to right field to drive in Elliot Ramos from third. Remember, that rally started with a Ramos single to center, a walk to Lamont Way Jr., and a perfect sacrifice bunt by rookie Christian Koss. After all that, though, here's a caveat. Since they started out 8-1, the Giants have played just a little above 500, 11-9. That's a .550 winning percentage. So let me get my wonky nerd hat on here. If you project from that, say the Giants play .550 winning ball from here on out, they'll end up with 92 wins on the season. I would not bet money that 92 wins are going to get you in the playoffs. I mean, you can also extrapolate from their 19-10 record and project that they could win 104 games. I don't think that's realistic, though. I'm going to say it's not. But can the Giants sprinkle in 1 or 2 more 8-1 stretches that they had to start the season to go along with their .550 winning percentage play? Say they go 22-18 in the next 40 games, which is a .550 winning percentage, and then they go on an 8-1 spurt. That would be a 30-19 stretch on top of their 19-10 record, which would be good for 49-29, almost at the halfway mark of the season. And then if they play .550 winning ball from there, they'd go 46-38. That's only 8 games over 500 the rest of the way, and that would be a total of 95 wins. Now, that would be doable. That would get you into the playoffs, and that would be a successful season. Now, let me get my philosophical hat on. A season, as we know, is 1,000 small tests with so many disappointments, struggles, failures, agonizing inability to move the runner over to third base with no outs, dumb pitches by the pitchers on an 0-2 counts, long stretches of nothing burger at bats, prolonged slumps, Fastballs right down the middle that you take, and then sliders in the dirt that you swing at. Some seasons, these disappointments and struggles pile up one after another till it's too much to overcome. Just check out the Giants over the last 3 years, or really most seasons since their last World Series championship in 2014. They've had more struggles than not, and they always wind up in disappointment. But other seasons, the failures and disappointments are overcome by small successes that start feeling like they have meaning and purpose, maybe even attached to a destiny. We may not be there yet, but the Giants have seemed to build a character that feels like a winning culture. Forgetting about the tough losses, discarding bad play, turning things around halfway through a game or even later. Remember the 11-3 loss just recently to the Brewers in the second game of this last homestand, that nightmare sixth inning where Milwaukee scores 8 runs in an inning that started like this: an infield single, an error by Willie Adames, a Jordan Hicks wild pitch, then a throwing error by Patrick Bailey, a walk, and then a bunch of other stuff that just ended up in disaster. That was an ugly loss, and it led to a lot of chatter on social media. Put Jordan Hicks back into the bullpen. Drop Willie Adames lower into the lineup. I was part of that chorus. What's going on with Patrick Bailey, Lamont Wade Jr., Elliot Ramos, and the rest? But that was not even as much of a gut punch as Ryan Walker's blown save just a couple days earlier. Well, the Giants, they were finishing that 10-day road trip, actually 10-game, 11-day road trip. They had that 4-1 lead in the ninth inning, but lost it 5-4 when Walker just lost it himself. What could have been a successful 6-4 road trip wound up as a meh 5-5 road trip. So that's definitely enough to test your patience. But even more importantly, fans were wondering if Ryan Walker had just lost all his abilities. He looked like he just could not find the strike zone. He had lost all of his confidence. They called for him to be sacked as the closer. But that would have been a time of panic because most people were worried that it would be Camilo Doval who would be the next alternative. And, of course, he dredges up all that history of all that angst that he brings to the ninth inning, at least at that point. So there was fear, there was worry. And as we've seen, it's resolved itself with excellent pitching by Doval and Walker since that moment. I'll get to that in just a second. Fans have also called for Bob Melvin to remove Justin Verlander, Robbie Ray, and or Jordan Hicks from the rotation, at least one of them to make way for Hayden Birdsong, who seems to be wasting away in the bullpen, although I'll have a word on that too. So, and I'm guilty. I'm guilty about second-guessing. I was second-guessing Bob Melvin in a tweet that I never sent, thankfully. That's when Melvin announced Patrick Bailey as a pinch hitter in the ninth inning Saturday night against the Rangers. And then Rangers manager Bruce Bochy got out of the dugout and brought in a lefty reliever. Of course, Bailey's weaker on the right side, so this seemed to be Bob Melvin playing into Bochy's hands and outmaneuvering himself, sending up struggling Patrick Bailey to pinch hit. And then he has to face a lefty on his weaker side. Just didn't seem like a great move. Of course, we know what happened. And I've also called for lineup changes and criticized players for not playing good situational ball. How many times can you watch hitters fail to move a runner to third with no outs or drive them in from third with 1 out or less? Lamont Wade Jr. is a case in point for a lot of Giants fans. His season-long slump has fans grumbling about the Giants front office failing to grab Pete Alonso when they had a chance, or Christian Walker, who got signed by the Houston Astros. A lot of fans want Wade gone. And it's understandable. He's hitting, 114 at this moment? And he's been at that all season long. He's in a season-long slump. But then you have to ask the question, who would replace him? Wilmer Flores? He's not an everyday player even when he's a DH. I mean, he is DHing full-time, but you need to give him spells at the DH. So, but if you start asking him to get on the field, that starts stretching him thin. Before Casey Schmidt was injured, fans were throwing out his name as the next first baseman. I don't see it. He has a good role when he gets back as a platoon hitter against lefties. That's as far as I'd take that. David Villar, he was called up from Sacramento, and he was hot coming out of AAA, hitting 370 or so. But remember, he was the MVP of the Pacific Coast League a couple years ago, but then I mean, don't fans remember how overmatched he has been in the major leagues as a full-time player? I mean, it's great to have him on the bench, but do you really want to make him your regular first baseman? Also, among all of those folks, who is as good as Lamont on defense? Do people realize how much stability Lamont Wade Jr. brings to the defense? And then, of course, fans were clamoring for Bryce Eldridge after he hit that home run in his first spring training at bat. But he struggled after that, and then he ended up getting injured in spring training. And now he's back getting on his feet in Double-A Richmond. He made a splash when he hit a home run in his first at bat there. And that's, I'm sure, all that people know about that. And some people probably privately hoping he gets called up soon. But since then, he's gone 1 for 12. He's going to need time to develop, possibly the entire season. So I think Melvin has been showing the kind of patience that's needed in a leader. And with Lamont Wade Jr., if you're watching closely, he's hitting the ball hard lately and seems to be back in form. He just hasn't had the luck. I mean, do you remember his first at-bat in Sunday's game, bases loaded, he hits for the cycle in just that at-bat. The ghost cycle, of course, it didn't happen, but in his first swing, he almost hit a grand slam home run, foul by feet. That was so painful to see it drift foul. And then 2 pitches later, he hits a bullet off the wall in right field, but it hits just to the right of the foul pole, maybe inches. That would have been a double. And then later in the at-bat, of course, he lines out to second base, a bullet, 107 miles an hour, right to the second baseman. I mean, that was Willie McCovey to Bobby Richardson all over again, without, of course, the World Series, importance. And then, in his last at bat, he actually could have had a triple. He lined it into the right center field gap, a diving catch by Adolis Garcia in right center field robs him. If he doesn't get that, Lamont Wade has a triple, and that would have been the cycle. So, yeah, that's a goal cycle. It didn't happen, and he's still on the schneid. But I think if you're watching him closely, his swing seems to be back. Now, baseball is about patience and perseverance. Often, it doesn't pay off, as we know from the past several years of the Giants. But when it does, you get rewarded with what the Giants did on Saturday, for example. Willie Adames' 2-run single. I mean, how many opportunities has he had to become the RBI guy and hasn't? But he comes through big time on Saturday for 2 runs to tie the game, which they eventually won. Robbie Ray comes up with his best start as a Giant. And then Ryan Walker has a lockdown redemption inning in that game. And then the 9th inning rally opening line drive single by Elliot Ramos and a game-winning hit by Patrick Bailey. All players who you may have lost your faith in, but they come up when it was needed. And then you get Jordan Hicks with 5 solid innings Sunday, and Ramos stealing a base and scoring on that Little League home run to win the game. Though let me stick on that for just a second. I mean, Ramos' first instinct, remember, after he rounded first, was to stop at second base on the overthrow without even looking at third base coach Matt Williams. That's a fundamental thing you just can't forget. I was glad to see Matt Williams and even first base coach Mark Hallberg go public with their criticism. Matt Williams said, quote, "Once the ball gets past the first baseman, he can't see it, and he's got to look at me. He's got to make me stop him. At the point he got to second base, they still hadn't secured the ball." Williams did admit that Ramos' hesitation created the bad throw to third base, which ended in the Little League home run. Quote, "It was a little closer than we would have liked, but if he goes right away, there's probably no play at third for sure." Mark Hallberg said, quote, "I would rather have him pick up the third base coach and go right away. It might have worked in this case, but that's the sort of thing that can come back and bite you in the end." And I am so with that. And Ramos even understood that he was probably going to face some razzing from his teammates as they watched it in film. And that was almost a Little League style running effort by Ramos and not doing the major league thing of looking up at your third base coach. All right, back to the starting rotation. I just wanted to have a little word here. The 3 starters who have faced some heat, Justin Verlander, Robbie Ray, and Jordan Hicks, just came through with a combined 18 innings and 6 earned runs. That's a very decent 3.00 ERA. We got an excellent 6-inning outing by Justin Verlander in the opener of the Rangers series, though the Giants lost 2-0. We got Robbie Ray, the Robbie Ray we've been promised, on Saturday when he had everything working. He went 7 innings, his longest stint as a Giant, the longest stint since 2022. Gave up only 5 hits, walked just 1, struck out 8. The peak Robbie Ray moment for me was the strikeout of the Rangers' star outfielder Wyatt Langford in the top of the 5th. 2 changeups that he had him fooled on terribly, swung on and missed, and then a 95-mile-an-hour fastball in the inside corner for a called third strike. That was vintage Robbie Ray. And for a change, Ray had an economy of pitches, only 70 through 5 innings. Got through 7 innings on under 100 pitches, 94 pitches, with only that 1 walk and 8 strikeouts. Then there was Jordan Hicks on Sunday, walking none in 5 innings, only gave up that 2-run single in the first on a bad luck 2-out broken bat looper to left field. Otherwise, he's got a clean outing. I love the way he mixes pitches up on Sunday. More sweepers and sliders to a lineup that feasts on fastballs. And usually I like starters to go longer than the 5 innings, but I thought it was just a perfect time for Melvin to take him out, let him experience that successful moment, and also get in the hot item, Hayden Birdsong from the bullpen, to give him a good long stretch of 3 innings. Speaking of the bullpen, the Giants bullpen, they're 10-3 with a 2.30 ERA. Do you know that the Giants bullpen has more wins than the starters? 10 wins to the 9 by the starters. That's just a comment on how relievers are used, and I'll get on a word on that in a bit. They have 10 saves and 14 chances, so they've had some flubs in the late innings for sure. 96 strikeouts in 99 innings. So they've been a dominant force. Now, of course, the question is, who should close now? Now we have, kind of a battle over, a competition over who should close. And I think Melvin probably has it right, and that he's going to go with what is feeling right at the moment. I mean, if Doval pitches as he did 3 of 4 games, then he'll go with Walker, and vice versa. But it seems like both have rallied around and are prepared to take on the role. Doval, in his last games, he's gone 7 2/3 innings, only 1 hit allowed, no runs. He's walked only 2, struck out 8. He is on fire. He seems to be the Doval of old, of vintage form, all-star form that he had a couple years ago. Of course, it could all fly away, with one moment of lack of confidence or a pitch that isn't called right for him. So it is touch and go for sure with Camilo Doval, and I don't think anybody can feel that comfortable with him, maybe ever. But it is great to see him doing so well right now. Then Ryan Walker, after his terrible moments in Anaheim and against Milwaukee, he's now had back-to-back scoreless outings, Friday and Saturday. 2 innings, gave up only 2 hits, struck out 4. That's after allowing those 6 runs on 6 hits. Hit 2 batters, walked 1 in just 2/3 of an inning against Milwaukee Wednesday, and then last Sunday against the Angels. So he has said that he feels a lot more confident. He feels like the team has supported him, and that's the kind of thing a young pitcher needs is a sense of confidence and backing from your teammates. Now, Hayden Birdsong. He was brilliant Sunday. His best moment came after giving up that leadoff triple to Jock Peterson, which I thought that I couldn't understand what the pitch call selection was there from Patrick Bailey. I mean, a fastball down the middle. Peterson can hit fastballs. He showed everybody that the other day when he hit that double screaming off the center field wall against the A's closer, Mason Miller, in the middle of an 0-for-41 slump. That's his pitch. Don't throw him a fastball down the middle. Well, they'll learn. But Birdsong stranded him there at third base in the 6th inning with no outs. He struck out Adolis Garcia, got Marcus Semien on a little grounder to Wade, who held him at third, and then a first pitch weak pop-up by Nick Ahmed to first base to end that threat. And then he struck out the side in the 8th inning with a dazzling array, 3rd strikes coming on a dancing changeup, a nasty changeup, and a wicked slider. Birdsong will be a good one, but I'm here to say the role he's playing now is pretty important. Don't mess with that. All right. I wanted to say that what we have coming up in the next 2 days in San Diego, we've got matchups that are some of the best pitchers in the major leagues. But before I get into the matchups, the Padres have lost 4 straight and 7 of their last 9. They got swept in 3 by the Tampa Bay Rays at home. They lost 2 of 3 before that to Detroit and 2 of 3 to Houston. They started out, remember, so hot, 14-3, and now they're 17-11 in third place in the National League West. They were great at home at first. They won 12 of their first 13 until they got swept by the Rays just this weekend. But they're never to be taken lightly. Tuesday, tomorrow, it'll be Logan Webb against one of the top pitchers in the National League right now, Nick Pivetta. Webb, he's great. 3-1, 1.98 ERA, 36 and a third inning, 44 strikeouts. His strikeout rate is just amazing, but understandable with the way he is now mixing up his pitches and has strikeout pitches in each one of his weapons. Four different pitches that can be strikeout pitches. But then Pivetta, he's 4-1 on the season with a 1.20 ERA. Now, he's only thrown 30 innings. So, you get him out of the game and maybe you have a chance with the bullpen. But although that bullpen is one of the best in the major league for sure. But Pivetta, this goes against a lifetime guy who's been middling at best. He has a 4.66 lifetime ERA. His best ERA in a season was 4.04. So at some point, he's going to be drifting back to his median. I think, maybe not. Maybe he's having the season of his life and he'll continue on. Wednesday, it'll be Landon Roop against Michael King. Roop is 2-1 with a 4.56. He's coming off his worst start. He went 3 and 2/3 innings, gave up 3 earned runs on 6 hits. Though the Giants came back from a 5-2 deficit to beat Milwaukee 6-5 on that day. But the game before that, Roop had his best start when he went 7 innings, struck out 9, gave up only 2 earned runs against the Angels. So we'll see which Roop shows up on this one. Michael King is, again, one of the best in the National League. Remember, he's the former Yankee who came over in the Soto deal. He has gone 3-1 this year with a 2.18 ERA. He authored the National League's only shutout this year, a 2-hitter. But since then, he's gone only 5 2/3 innings and 5 innings. Both losses, though he gave up only 2 earned runs in those games, striking out 16. So that's the matchup with the Padres. And then, of course, after the Padres, the Giants come right back home to play the Colorado Rockies. So say the Giants, just can't find a hit against the Padres and drop those 2. They still have the Rockies to look forward to coming back home. All right, I want to switch over to one of my top pet peeves that I've talked about, but I wanted to go a little deeper on, and that's the game's universal caution with starting pitchers. The conventional wisdom has taken, and it appears that the 100-pitch limit will be a barrier that very few will cross. I looked it up and found the distressing pattern is fully ingrained. We're just about done with April, and not a single pitcher has thrown 110 pitches in a game. The average pitch count for starters in the National League is 86. The average start is 5 2/3 innings. The Giants average 5.4 innings a start. Pitchers have exceeded 100 pitches in 89 of the 840 games that have been started this year. That's a 10.6 percentage rate for the starts. Melvin has allowed his starters more release than most managers. 91 is the average. That's tied for third highest. And Melvin has allowed his starters to go over 100 pitches the most in the major leagues with 7. Major League Baseball has had 3 complete games all year, 2 of those shutouts. Starters have short leashes, relievers are king, and managers continue to make the call to the bullpen as if there's always a better option. The numbers have changed over a generation. 10 years ago, starting pitchers made up 66% of all innings thrown. Today, they're throwing 59% of all the innings. That's a big drop in innings pitched, a big low drop, and it's all because of that 100 pitch count limit. Remember when the new stat came out, quality starts, when a pitcher goes 6 innings and gives up 3 or fewer runs? We all thought it was BS then. That's a 4.50 ERA. We asked, that's quality? Now it's an achievement. The Major League average for quality starts so far this year is 33%. That's just 1/3 of your starts are doing the bare minimum of what's needed to give your team a quality start. The Giants pitchers have turned in quality starts in 38% of their starts. Houston leads the majors with 52%. That, of course, puts the burden on relievers. With so many teams employing 3, 4, or 5 relievers in a game, all it takes is one guy to have a bad day to watch it all disintegrate. This brings me to a game I was listening to Saturday between the Tigers and Orioles. I was not surprised to hear a pitching change blow up in a manager's face. It's the 5th inning. The Tigers get a runner at second base, but Orioles starting pitcher Brandon Young strikes out Spencer Torkelson with a 94-mile-an-hour fastball for the second out of the inning. He's down 2-1, but he's keeping it close. But he's just pitched his 95th pitch, and left-handed hitter Jace Young is due up. So Orioles manager Brandon Hyde has analytics on his side, the metrics being that facing a hitter for the 3rd time increases your vulnerability no matter what the eye tells you. So Hyde goes out and yanks Brandon Young and brings in a fresh reliever, Brian Baker, who has yet to allow an inherited runner to score. So, he had his reasons. But, of course, Jace Young gets a base hit off Baker to drive in the run for a 3-1 lead, which the Tigers hold on to. Another analytics failure. My dream is one day we'll all break the fever of the 100-pitch count and the over-reliance on bullpens. Until then, we just have to wait and watch as bullpens get raggedy armed, maybe forcing managers to start pushing their starters to go just a little deeper. On a side note, do you know that local radio broadcasts now have pitch counts as a promotional tag? Quote, Casey Mize at 81 pitches. Pitch count presented by Rocket Mortgage. Own the dream. Okay, I promise you the answer to my trivia question at the end. Remember, the question was, who was the relief pitcher who told his pitching coach, quote, well, I got my man, after the only hitter he faced was Vic Wertz, who hit that mammoth blast to center field that Willie Mays had to run down and make his famous catch on in the 1954 World Series? The answer, Don Little. He was a little lefty, 5'10", 165-pounder, brought in strictly to face the lefty slugger Vic Wertz. The Indians had a rally in a 2-2 tie in the 8th inning. Runners at first and second, no outs. And then Wertz hit that drive over Willie Mays' head toward the center field wall, 483 feet away. That miraculous play he made is known simply as the catch, and it was considered the turning point of the series. It robbed Wertz of extra bases, and Mays' throw kept the runner from advancing past third on the fly ball. Oftentimes, runners would score from second on sacrifice flies like that. Little was taken out immediately after Mays' catch. The Indians failed to score, and the Giants ultimately won that game in the bottom of the 10th inning on Dusty Rhodes' pop-fly home run that only went 253 feet to right field. Part 2 of that trivia answer is Don Little actually later won the clinching game 4 of that series. Remember, the Giants swept the Indians in 4 games. He started that game 4, went 6 2/3 innings, gave up only 1 earned run. He did give up 2 hits in that game to Vic Wertz, a double to right field and a single to center field. But unquestionably, he did get his man when Willie Mays made that catch. All right, that's all I have for today. Thank you for tuning in to Sacramento's Curveballs and Changeups with me, your host, Steve Harmon. You can find Sacramento's best baseball podcast on Apple Tunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Substack, and wherever else you can listen to podcasts. Please hit that subscribe button so you can get notified when my next podcast is up. I'm also on Twitter, or what some call X. I'm on Threads and Substack. I hope you all can spread the word. Tell your friends about my podcast. Maybe retweet or repost on Threads. That would be helpful. Until next time, lay off the slider, low it away.